Region Schritter by my guest tonight, Andrián Pertout, and that fantastic sax player was Noah Getz, as Andrián was saying. There's a great concert coming up this week. We should tell you about that because it's at the Melbourne Recital Centre.
This poster was designed by Australian pianist Michael Kieran Harvey, and it's promoting our upcoming concert at the Salon, Melbourne Recital Centre.
Andrián and I have known each other for a very long time. He exhibits everything that I find interesting about composition, and it pushes me all the time, this work, emotionally, technically, energy-wise as well. It requires an enormous amount of psyching up, an enormous amount of constant energy to try to keep the level of intensity.
In many ways, I think this is really at the edge of performability, in the sense, I'm so fortunate to be working with someone like Michael Kieran Harvey because of his incredible abilities. But it's also, in many ways, it's an intellectual challenge for him as well. And when I say intellectual, there are two things going on here. One is to really interpret those complex rhythms, but also to transform them into something musical. And that becomes a really enormous challenge.
It's a challenge, but it shouldn't come across as just a challenge. It's a piece that defiantly says something has been newly created, and it's been generated from this country, Australia, but it's been generated by somebody who's come here as an immigrant and who has looked at it in a way which infuses the music and also the culture with something different. And that's what I really enjoy about it. It's a very unique sort of language.
This piece, Luz Meridional in Spanish, Sudden Light in English, began as an idea to explore Australian music and Australian composers, and specifically early Australian composers. I started off with 200 composers, had a listen to pieces, even played through scores, and found material that I would later incorporate into the pieces, which was narrowed down to 24, which became the number of movements in my work. There are a few areas of interest for me in composition, one of them being the art of tuning, also improvisation. Maths and music has been a great interest of mine for some time now. Exploring ways of incorporating mathematics in music. There are so many concepts that you can explore and readapt musically. I find that really interesting.
People might say, well, it's avant-garde music, whatever that means. That doesn't mean anything anymore. It might be regarded as contemporary music. Well, that doesn't mean anything anymore either. It just is music that is written for the piano, which is, let's face it, a 19th century instrument. But it's something which is using the capabilities of the instrument in a way that is, I think, fresh and combining many different sorts of influences, and yet all of these different influences are still cohesive. It's a very strange mix because it's not just like a mashup or a random chance mixing of events or ideas or what have you. There's a line and a coherence through all of this, which is driven by the intellect of the composer.
Writing for a virtuoso such as Michael Kieran Harvey, it really opens up your horizons, but also your compositional possibilities, because here you have a performer that has no boundaries. In each piece, the quotation that has been derived from each of the composers, it was never really important to use these quotations as literal quotations. It was more a matter of actually representing these composers in some way. For me, it was really a matter of actually transforming or finding ways, musical ways to transform these melodies into my own work, using a variety of methods, which might be reharmonization, it might be using the Bruijn sequences or bell ringing sequences, or something more conventional, such as isorhythms, but at the same time exploring other more elaborate ideas such as tempo canons, etc.
A composer like Andrián is able to create something new, vibrant, but without sort of borders, without being in a cage, as it were, or a compartment. And he's constantly touring and interacting with the top composers and forums in the world. He's taken this music and reinterprets it in a way which is infusing it with a new sort of life and a new perspective, and it regenerates this music. And that's something which I find very powerful. He's very, I guess, eclectic in a way that I think is very close to what I think is ideal in an artist.